Okay, let's talk about corporate mentorship. We've all seen it, right? The big program launches with all this fanfare and promises, and then a few months later, it just kind of fizzles out. So why does this happen over and over again? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what's going wrong and, more importantly, explore a totally new way of thinking about mentorship that actually works at scale.
Our journey starts in a place you might find a little familiar. I call it the mentorship graveyard. This is the final resting place for all those programs that started with the best of intentions but couldn't sustain the momentum.
In this image, yeah, it pretty much captures the vibe perfectly, doesn't it? A field of forgotten connections and missed chances. What was supposed to be this vibrant, dynamic program ends up being a quiet monument to what could have been.
Sound familiar? You get that big launch email. Everyone's excited. People sign up, and then nothing. Just crickets. If you're nodding along right now, trust me, you are not alone. This is an incredibly common story. You know, the warning signs are always the same. All that launch day excitement completely disappears by the 6-month mark. Your senior leaders who are already stretched way too thin just can't take on one more thing. The matches are made based on job titles, not actual skills. And the only guidance is, hey, meet once a month, a recipe for disaster. And worst of all, there's zero way to measure if any of it is actually making a difference. So all of these symptoms, they all point back to one single fundamental problem. It's the core reason these programs just can't scale, the senior leader bottleneck. Put simply, the math just doesn't math. The whole traditional top-down model is broken from the start. Relying on just a handful of your busiest people to develop an entire organization, it's a setup for failure. Think about the number 20. Let's say you're in a company of 500 people. You get 10 senior leaders to volunteer, and each one mentors 2 people. That's a grand total of 20 employees. 20! That's less than 4% of your entire workforce. It's just a drop in the bucket. And this bottleneck effect is so damaging. It turns mentorship into this scarce, exclusive club for a lucky few. And that's the exact opposite of what you want. It completely fails to build a real culture of development that's open and accessible to absolutely everyone. So, how do we blow up this bottleneck? Well, it takes a fundamental shift in how we think. We have to move away from this rigid, top-down structure to a much more powerful idea. Everyone is a teacher. This is the absolute core of the solution. It's called the multiplier model. In this framework, we completely stop thinking about mentorship as something seniors do to juniors. Instead, every single person in the company is seen as both a learner and a teacher. It's not about your title, it's about what you know. And the shift is, well, it's huge. We go from that clunky once-a-year matching event to a flexible, ongoing process. Instead of one general mentor for life, you have multiple mentors for specific skills you need right now. Learning starts flowing in all directions, up, down, and sideways. And those vague, let's grab coffee meetings get replaced by focused, structured learning sprints. Okay, so the philosophy sounds great, but how do you actually do it? Let's dive into 3 really powerful, scalable models that bring this whole multiplier idea to life. First up is skill-based matching. This one is all about getting super specific and targeted. We're not looking for a long-term do-it-all mentor. We're looking for focused knowledge transfer to solve an immediate problem. So here's how it works. Think short, focused sprints, maybe 3 to 6 months long. You get matched with someone who's an expert in a specific thing you need to learn, like mastering Tableau or getting better at stakeholder presentations. It doesn't matter what their job title is. The point is, there are clear goals and a clear finish line, which makes it super efficient and incredibly effective. Next, we have learning circles. Now, this model is built to scale expertise right from the start by tapping into the power of peer learning in a small group. Imagine a small group, say 4 to 6 people, who are all going through a similar experience, like being a new manager for the first time. You bring them together with a facilitator to guide the conversation. But the real magic happens between the peers themselves. They learn from each other, hold each other accountable, and build a real sense of community. And our final model is maybe the most radical of all. It's called reverse mentoring, and it does exactly what it sounds like. It flips the entire traditional hierarchy completely on its head. This model is built on the truth that incredible expertise exists at every single level of a company. So you pair a junior employee with a senior leader to be their mentor. You're unlocking these critical, fresh insights that leadership would otherwise never get. And this is way more than just a nice idea. It's a massive strategic advantage. Senior leaders get a direct line into emerging tech, what's really happening on social media, or the perspectives of Gen Z. It shatters those hierarchical walls and creates this amazing two-way street for knowledge. Okay, these models are fantastic, but they're just tools, and they'll only work if they're supported by the right kind of culture and structure. So the big question is, how do you make sure these new forms of mentorship actually stick around for the long haul? The secret ingredient is accountability, and this simple three-part framework gives you the structure you need. Before you even start, you set clear goals. During the program, you have regular pulse checks and check-ins. And after the sprint is over, you showcase what was learned and actually measure the impact. This is what turns just chatting into real measurable development. So let's bring it all home. When you adopt this multiplier approach, you fundamentally change the game. Suddenly, everyone is both a learner and a teacher. Expertise flows freely in every direction. Knowledge sharing actually happens at scale. And your entire culture begins to shift from one of rigid hierarchy to one of constant learning. Development is no longer a perk for the few. It's democratized for everyone. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. I want you to just forget the org chart for a second. Forget about job titles. Forget about seniority. Who in your organization has a skill or a perspective you could learn from right now? The answer just might surprise you.